Hello, hello. Ederson Oliveira here for DNNHero.com. I have with me Scott Wilson. How are you, man?
I'm doing good.
Man, I can see it's not okay. So let's straight this out here. It's not November. It's not November anymore. I mean, November is past, or
Yeah.
it's still ahead of us. A few months. What's going on there?
Well, last month I had the beard, right? So I figured this will be March mustache month, and lo and behold, here this was underneath the beard. So yeah, March mustache month. I'm going to start a new trend, and um, you won't see this next month. So get a good gander now, and this will be gone by by April.
The good thing is that this will be now forever on the web. I mean, you will never
Yeah,
get rid of that anymore. And yeah, so I
that's
can
right.
see really that you're trying different insulations. Insulation.
Right.
I guess that
Yeah.
it's warming up, and then you're just shaving off, isn't
Right. I
it?
just need some warmth on the upper lip, and that's it.
Good. Okay, so let's get down to business here. Okay, so I want to start, and I'll bring some web pages together with our discussion. I want to start with the .NET Nuke, the DNN 7.5 Community Technology Preview, CTP, which was released just on March 19th. And it's the first alpha version, it's the first version out there of DNN that has support for MVC modules. And so again, there's a good post from Joe Brickman. He goes extensively talking about that release and the two great frameworks that work great. The two great frameworks that work great together, DNN and MVC. So Scott, I mean, what's your I guess that initial impressions with this new community technology preview release?
Yeah, I need to download it still and check it out. But I did get a preview from Charles Nurse. He did an MVP session on developing how he's developing. At the time, it was he just had a basic. I think it was February. He had a basic working of the HTML module as an MVC module within hosted inside of the web forms framework, which is how it's working. And that was the basis for this 7.5, the MVC approach. So it was, at the time, it was a very basic. I mean, I don't even think he had all the module settings or the workflow or anything else hooked up. Just the basics of being able to host that MVC MVC module. The other thing that was difficult, I think, was he couldn't use Telerik, obviously, because Telerik is a web forms component. So the Telerik HTML editor you can't use in an MVC context. So obviously they had to figure out the new editor situation as part of that, which is probably why the time frame is going to be moved a little bit for the actual release of 7.5. That may be part of it. There's also some other features that they're adding. I think Joe mentioned a workflow manager feature. That's something different than, I guess, the workflow manager API, that's built in. So yeah, I'm excited to get my hands on it, and I think my next video will be on developing an MVC, at least a kind of a starter video on how to develop an MVC module.
Got it. As we were discussing a little bit prior to us, get on the record here, the way I understand where the versioning is going here, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but it seems, and I saw a comment from Brian Dukes about that as well. It seems that DNN 7.5, again, it just got started with MVC modules. The platform will not be fully MVC. It will still be supporting web forms based modules, but they will add, and again, it has been added MVC support, and so that's the first version. Then we have, and according to Joe, what I saw there is that the full release should come up around summer. But then they also mention about DNN Next. Uh, and that version is the one that will be full MVC. So it will depart completely from web forms and it will be full MVC. But as I saw a post from Brian, he says that most likely what will happen is that the DNN 7.x line will still be carried on for maybe for a few years, because and that will allow for module developers and for the community in general to transition from the web forms MVC and then depart completely towards the DNN next version. So at some point, I'm thinking that we have the DNN 7 versions coming up and the DNN next as well. And at some point, DNN 7 line will stay behind. And again, we will only have DNN next after that. So is that the correct way of looking at this? I understand this the setup.
Yeah, I actually had to send an email to a client recently because they were concerned about that, and that's my understanding. Yeah, I mean, for one thing, I mean it still shows on the roadmap that it's Q3 or something. I feel like it might not be this year, but I don't think it'll be as early as Q3, right? But the other thing to note is I think that VNext is actually even bigger than just MVC. A good article, and I'll send you this, is one that Bruce Chapman wrote just I think it was just last week or earlier this week. 7 VNext facts that all ASP.NET developers need to know. The reason I say it's bigger than MVC is that obviously in the ASP.NET VNext, they're planning on supporting the MVC and not web forms, as part of the core of that ASP.NET. So it'll be MVC, Web API, SignalR, but one of the things is if you go to the pure MVC model, it's not just that you're saying, hey, we're going to get more nimble or we're going to get to a better practice as far as development patterns, but it's also being able to potentially target the core CLR of .NET versus the full CLR, and potentially be able to run DNN on other platforms. I mean, even imagine running it on a full open source stack on Linux and that kind of thing, as well as a refactoring of the potentially of the DAL of the basic data access layer, and introducing one of the next generation entity framework or something like that. So I think it's bigger than MVC. It's more targeting ASP VNext. But yeah, I believe, just like what you said, is because it's such a large departure, and because there's going to be module developers, there's going to be large scale clients that'll just not be able to upgrade as quickly. I believe they'll probably be supporting that 7.x as far as the framework 7.x for probably a couple years to come.
Perfect. So again, it's good to have some more clarity into the strategy overall, at least again in our mind. So yeah, so that was really all about the 7.5 initial release there. There's also moving on here. There's also the last hangout which happened I think on March 11th. They discussed a lot about Azure and running DNN on Azure, and there was quite a nice guy that took part of that hangout. His name is Jared Shockley, and he is actually a Microsoft employee. And the hangout was not really a demonstration, but he went through various aspects of Azure and how it can be used to run your DNN website if you have a large-scale DNN website. He also mentioned something very interesting about caching. Again, it got me quite interested on that. I'm not sure if I'm gonna give it a shot there, but again, on Azure you have 30 days and a few $100 to play around if you want to sign up. Just be careful, and that's something that they brought during the hangout, is that just be careful because it's so easy to launch things on Azure. Make sure that you are not launching something that is very expensive and you're gonna run out of credits quite quickly. And he gave the example of instantiating a full enterprise SQL server, and in just 2 days he ran out of credits there. So again, just make sure that if you are experimenting, make sure, I guess, that bring them down as well. I mean, if you are just playing around, make sure that you deactivate those things that you're playing around, so it will not keep eating up your credits there. But again, very interesting approach, very very interesting to see Windows Azure and DNN working side by side and working together. And who knows? I mean, it might be a good alternative to have high performance DNN websites there. So that's what I saw. That's the main thing out of the Hangout that happened last March 11th. What else we have here? Let's see. Okay, next, DNN Connect, Southern France, May 28th to 31st. And Scott, I mean, are you presenting? What is the plan there for you? I know that you're going there.
Yeah, I'm going. And they just started accepting speaker submissions. And so I did submit some speaker submissions. So I probably won't know till we talk next. But hopefully I will get to do that. But for sure I'm going. That's the main thing.
Perfect. Yeah,
at least for me.
It's getting a lot of traction. I mean, I see a lot of people, even from Canada here as well. I see a lot of people going to that event. So again, I was thinking that it would be smaller, but it seems that it's filling up quite quickly. Okay, perfect. So again, that's at the end of May. Moving on here, talking a little bit about some of the posts that went on the DNN store. Just want to give a big shout out to Beth Fireball for her celebrating her first year by running the DNN store blog. I mean, that's the first year. So she was able to, again, bring within that year at least a post a week. And again, that varies from product review to even myself doing some interviews with vendors. So again, a big shout out to Beth Fireball from the DNN store. On the same topic of the DNN store, Beth has posted a blog post talking about pricing of products on the DNN store, and she's not giving too many advices here, but she did something interesting here. She actually asked 3 vendors for their, what was their approach about pricing. And you have here some of the comments from DNN Sharp, from Smith e-commerce store, and from a third one here, event planner and registration. So again, just a nice post talking about how to price and how they come up with their own pricing structure. Okay.
That's interesting. You would think just most people would say, well, I looked at the competition and I, made it a little cheaper or whatever, yeah. So I'll have to check that out.
But I mean, it's funny that this pricing thing from one side is that we see the community sometimes say, hey, prices are getting high. And then, of course, the other side are the suppliers saying, hey, we have to raise the prices, because, again, we have to raise the quality of what we put out there. And one of the ways to raise quality is really, to get better support and to get better, economics to support those mods. I mean, I just looking at what you guys there at Blue Bolt have done recently with a module. I mean, it costs a few $1,000, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Our philosophy is, and I have to talk to Dave Reisner about our pricing because I didn't come up with it. But our philosophy is we're competing with things like Google Appliance or or Elasticsearch, who are these products are tens of thousands of dollars, as well as DNN is starting to compete with you know Ectron and Episerver and some of these other platforms that are tens of thousands of dollars to license.
Yeah, you know what is right there is that at sometimes we just think about the DNN ecosystem itself, and we think that we're just playing in that small sandbox, but it's not. We have to look outside of that and see, okay, so outside of the DNN ecosystem, what are the other options that people have? And then you can stack up your pricing against that, and not necessarily just against, I would say, the existing structure that is there for 8 years. So again, but that's a departure as well from a way of vendors and sellers in general have been having for a while, which is look at the competition within the ecosystem and limit yourself to that. And I think that's, again, as Bluebolt is doing, going out there and seeing what else is offering as alternatives in general, including alternatives to DNN.
Yeah. Well, and also more and more DNN partners like Bluebolt and R2I and some others that, we're DNN partners, but we also do work with other CMSs and are partners for other CMSs, only just because sometimes it's what your clients request, and sometimes it's what, obviously we love DNN and we do a lot with it, but yeah, we're, a lot of the partners are have to get into other CMSs. I mean, it's just, like you said, it's economics.
Okay, so that was about the store. Let me flip here my browser to the next one. Okay, so I just about 2 weeks ago, I had a nice interview. I've done a good interview with Chad Nash from Data Springs. Interesting enough, Chad is traveling the world for the last 8 months. And he's working right now, I'm guessing, either from Australia or from New Zealand. So again, he's all over the place. But
where is he based though? Where does he live?
He told during the interview, I think he's based in California, somewhere in California. I'm not sure at this point anymore, but I think it's East Coast. It's definitely it's definitely West Coast. But so yes, his team is there, but he's everywhere now. So so he found some time to talk with me for this nice interview, and it's always fun to talk to Chad. And just want to bring one, I guess, at one piece of one piece that get out of that conversation towards the end, which I found interesting. And I mentioned to you, Scott, briefly about that. I asked, Chad, okay, what is that? What's next for DNN and what he thinks, the future awaits, and then he says, I have a thought here that may not be on everybody's mind, but I see that that worries me about DNN, which is I don't see. I'm gonna make this on my own words. I don't see new blood, the next generation of developers coming on board to the platform. And he, in a way, he kind of challenged during the conversation of how we can bring the next generation of developers excited about something like DNN, and again, in a way, ASP.NET as well. So how we can engage the next generation, how we can engage new people from colleges, universities. How can people like that be engaged? Because I mean, let's have an honest discussion here, Scott. If we look at the community events, again, I might be wrong, but guys, please post comments. Gals, please post comments here. But I don't see too many new faces. I don't see too many. Let's call them too many younger faces. I mean, if you think for a second, I don't see too many people under their 25s, under their coming on board to the platform. I see, of course, a lot of friends, a lot of people, but again, new blood. So I think that he has a bit of a point there. I mean, what's your take, Scott? I mean, do you have any take about that?
I remember 2 years ago when I did the all-day training for the Southern Fried DNN in Charlotte. You remember that conference? And it was interesting because obviously the all-day training is a paid thing. I think it was $300. It wasn't very much, but it was, let's say it was, I think it was like somewhere around $300. But they offered it, so we did it at a university. I think it was I can't remember, it was Atlantic. No, I'm thinking DNN Con. Can't remember. It was at a university kind of similar to the DNN Con at the Palm Beach Atlantic, and they offered it to the university students or advertise it free. They could go to the $300 training for free, and I was surprised at how little response we got on it. I mean, some people took it up, but not very many. I've been to some high school graduation recently, and I think where it was a smaller school where they announced everyone's majors as they were coming up. And gosh, I mean, I was just surprised at how few were actually computer science or had declared it. I know high school's a little early, but they had actually declared a computer science major. So I don't know if it's a DNN problem. I think it's just a problem in general with, I don't know, with just getting younger people into computer software. It amazes me because it's a career that's almost like, nowadays it's hard to find a career where you pretty much have it's a very bright future. I mean, there's going to be software development for as long as we know, and even in economic downturns, the software developers are one of the few people that have issues. So yeah, I don't know. I do find it strange. One thing we're doing at Blue Bolt is hiring junior developers right out of college. We've hired 3 or 4 this year that are right out of college, and obviously being a gold partner, a DNN gold partner, they are learning DNN. They are using it, and they are developing to it. And we should be starting to send those guys to conferences fairly soon as well. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I guess my answer now is we'll continue, as Blue Bolt, we'll continue to hire younger and younger guys because they're bright, they're very smart. I mean, and we'll get them into DNN just because that's what a lot of our projects are. So I don't know.
Got it. My thinking is that, I mean, I wonder if well, one, if that is really a problem. I'm not sure, but again, I don't see, as I said, I don't see too many new faces. But I also wonder if DNN Corp themselves, if they see that as a potential problem, or based on the new trends and the new directions that they're taking, if that should be enough on their view to entice a new younger generation to come on board. So again, I want to raise the point, I want to raise the topic, I want to voice it a little bit more and see what other people think about that. So again, I invite you, anyone watching this, to make your comments about that. Do you agree? Do you don't agree? And just maybe we're just talking BS here. But anyway, I think it's a valid point to raise. Okay, there's a segment of this talk, this monthly talk, that I was trying to bring a pick of the month for the skin, and for a theme, and for a module. But I want to expand this a little bit more, and I want to bring at least 1 or 2 picks, but not necessarily about modules or themes, but about maybe new tools that we came across, or new approaches of doing things that we came across that I think that would be valuable to you guys. So I have 2 suggestions today to provide. One, it's actually this came from, I think I heard that from Will Stroll, and I decided to check, and it's called tinypng.com. This website, what it will help you is you can upload a PNG or a JPEG file, and it will adjust, it will optimize its size And for PNGs, in case of PNGs, it will not lose the alpha transparency. So I've tested this, and I have to say a few images that I had on DNNhero.com. This tool was able to reduce half of the size of, actually more than half of the size of those images. So if we put both images side by side, you cannot tell the difference. So very nice tool. I actually tried to do the same thing on Photoshop, and I was not able to optimize via Photoshop without losing a lot of the quality. So again, at first I was just thinking that, hey, Photoshop has this out of the box, but it doesn't. And the funny thing is that you can use this tool for free on the website, so you can upload your image to be optimized here, but you can also purchase a plugin for Photoshop, and I think it's $40 or something. Yeah, $40, that you can have the plugin directly added to Photoshop. So again, very nice tool if you need to optimize images, the image size without losing quality. Mostly, again, very much towards the .png format with alpha transparency, that it will not lose the transparency. So very nice tool. I highly recommend it. I've tried. It works very nicely. tinypng.com. It will be available on the link will be available on our list of links. So that's one. The next one.
You said that's free?
That is free. That is free on their website. So you can use the web interface to upload. But there's also a plugin.
Photoshop plugin has a cost.
Yes, that costs $40 to install on your Photoshop.
That's cheap.
It is cheap. I mean, and for the size reduction that I was able to get, I mean, again, I'm really amazed with the quality of that tool. So I'm really adding that to my tool set and using that on a daily basis to optimize things for my own sites, my clients' sites. I mean, very, very good, very good. And again, did an awesome job. I'm really impressed with that tool. So I mean, just to give you exact numbers, I was able to reduce one image 65%, another image 57%. And again, put them side by side, you don't see any difference. You cannot perceive any difference. That's the first one. Second one, this is about a module that also got me very impressed. Let me flip here to the browser. This module, I think it's a new module from Mandips. I don't see that. I think it might be even version 1 of this module. But man, let me tell you, Scott, this is a form module that is very intuitive. Mandips has created a 20 minutes video on that form. It has so many features, but it's so well packaged, so well not hidden, but again, you only need to see advanced features whenever you are looking for an advanced features, not like some other modules out there that you see, 1,000 different settings all at once. So it's very much drag and drop based, very intuitive. I mean, you can have, it also has the concept of templates, so you can very quickly copy a form and bring it somewhere else, bring it to another site. I'm really impressed. Actually, I got to this module via comment from, I think from Will Morganweck from DNN, and he was also impressed with that module. So again, very impressive, really impressive forms module. It's I see quite a few form modules on the DNN store, but yeah, this one to be, I think that version 1 or the initial version of this module got me quite impressed. So again, you can find the link to the module on the notes of this video. Scott, I didn't give you a chance to think about your tool, so your mission is next meeting we're gonna have a new tool from you as well, a new tool or a new approach.
Tool or tip. Yeah.
Scott's tip.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll start doing tips and tricks.
Tips and tricks. That's the idea of the segment. I mean, again, it might be a new approach to something that you already do. So again, anything new that can benefit the audience, it's worth mentioning here. We're almost finishing this. Just want to make a quick note here about the last tutorial that Scott has produced. It's about implementing workflows in DNN modules. So again, a very nice, very comprehensive set from Scott, which he has also written a blog post about that. Scott, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, when it was initially the initial meeting we had, I think it was Francesco and Joe Brinkman, and when they introduced 7.4 and he was talking about it, one of the questions was, well, where can we get the code? How do we use it? You know, I mean, there was a little bit of a technical preview of the API, but a practical application of how to use it. And you know, the meeting kind of ended with just, well, somebody will hopefully do it, and you know, hopefully we'll get something out there. And so I knew I was going to do it, so I did it. It was a hard, you know, it was a hard. It wasn't hard working with the API. The API was fairly straightforward, but what was difficult was, and if you read my blog post on the DNN community or dnnsoftware.com on the blog section, you'll see that it's not just plugging into the API. It's dealing with the front end to how you work with versions of your content. You know, it's all those nuances of you know, when you create this new version, no one can see it yet, but admins can see it. But you also need the ability to see the versions of a content, potentially roll them back, delete the version, but not the main item, and you know, it just, versioning and workflow can get really complex. So, but yeah, that's what the module is. It was a hard thing to do because I had to figure all these things out. And it's, you know, normally when I'm doing a DNN Hero tutorial, I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to build some giant piece of code for you to just, you know, it's normally just show you the concepts and then give you working examples. But I think I went a little over and beyond that just because I had to. I mean, it's a tough topic. So again, you know, you can preview that that blog, what all went into it, and then if you're not a subscriber, I think it would probably entice you to subscribe. I mean, just this one code project I think is worth the yearly subscription for sure. And but yeah, that's it. I might do a talk on that at the DNN Connect. We'll see if they want me to do that topic. But that's a big one for me, and hopefully everyone likes it, and you know, and can use it in their projects. And like I said, I think the next thing I'm going to look at is looking at the MVC, the 7.5 CTP preview, seeing if I can build something against that for maybe next month or for May.
Very good, very good. Also, quickly mention that, and it was just almost a month ago that I published the last video done by myself. It's a video about how to get the DNN source codes, open it up, run that code, be able to step into the code and see how DNN uses their own APIs. So again, it's very useful to see how you can step into DNN's code. And I thought prior to that it would be easier to set up the DNN code and have it running, but it's slightly tricky. But again, I go into very much details of a working approach that you can do that from start to finish. Look at the DNN code and step into its code. Okay, that was my last video. Coming to an end here, just want to quickly plug DeskPal. On DeskPal we provide DNN support for a very unlimited DNN support for a very low monthly cost. Just want to quickly mention about one case that we're working right now, and that in a way that's an advice, and I don't know how this will come out, but this is about an upgrade. We are working with this upgrade, Scott, for the past 2 months, and it's not that we are slow. It's just that it's a DNN 4 website that we are bringing to DNN 7. There are so many modules, so many article modules that they use. So that puts an extra layer of complexity on everything. They have over 50,000 users. So once we upgrade, the performance was very bad. So again, we are trying to optimize performance. We run some turbo scripts from Sebastian, and again, it's getting hard. It uses so part menu, so there's a skin problem as well. So here's the suggestion that we have given to this client just last week. I'm not sure what's his reaction, what's his take, but I think at this point we are just being able to do minor improvements on this upgrade. I'm recommending him to burn down the house and start with migration. No? A friend of mine, and I'm not from an assembly line, a manufacturing background. I'm not from that background, but this friend of mine is, and he told me that they have this approach on the manufacturing, field of area, that sometimes a factor is so old. Sometimes the processes are so old, the structure, the infrastructure, the plumbing, everything is so old, so antiquated, that it's easier, it's cheaper to burn down the factory. And by burn down, I don't mean really to burn. I mean really bring it down completely.
It's a rebuild. It's a complete rebuild.
And then start from scratch. So that's what I'm recommending to this client. I said, you know what, Mr. So-and-so, let's use a top-notch skin here. Let's migrate this content. Forget about this old, bloated stuff here, because it's bloated. I mean, it has things like catalog that is not even used anymore on the site, but installed there. There's so much legacy there. To be honest, I've never done a migration like this, but I said, you know what? 2 months later, we are just getting incremental, improvements here. Let's burn down the house and start from scratch. Now, that approach will have its own challenges. The first challenge that I see here right away is the SEO juice that has already there, that we have to do a lot of redirects maybe. So again, there will be a lot of stuff to be done, but at least we're starting from a brand new house there, a brand new structure there. We will just be bringing whatever we really need on this new place. Again, we're leaving behind all the baggage, all the old stuff. So again, I've suggested that. Not sure how you're gonna be taking that, but I will keep you guys posted. It has been a challenge for us here at Desk Paul, but I want to here and there bring one of those cases that I think that it's at the end of the day, it's valuable information to provide to our audience at DNN Hero as well. Okay, Scott, anything else? Any last words?
No, I'm waiting for the warmer weather, so I guess next time we talk, it'll be spring.
Thank God. We're almost there. Okay, 40 minutes mark. Scott, thank you very much, man. Have a good one. See you next time.